Premier Li says that China-Africa relations have entered a golden period. He made that remark as he wrapped up his four-nation tour of Africa. The week-long trip marked his first visit to the continent since taking office last year. On Sunday, Li stopped by CCTV offices in Nairobi, Kenya, to talk about the importance of a strong China-Africa relation.
Our combined population accounts for 1/4 of the world's total. Africa enjoys tremendous potential for growth, and China has rich production capacity. The African Union's and China's production capacity are at very similar levels of industrial development, and we complement each other. We believe the relationship between China and Africa is one of closely knit common destiny, one of common development, and one of mutual learning for each other's civilization and culture.
His week-long visit started in Ethiopia, where he met officials to discuss future infrastructure projects. The delegation signed 16 deals to develop the country's industrial zones. He then visited Nigeria and Angola, where he signed energy and finance and manufacturing deals. He also told officials from both countries that China wants to work with them to build its railway systems. In Kenya, on his last stop, the focus was energy, trade, and conservation. He signed a $10 million pledge for wildlife conservation before heading home. For a look back at Premier Li's trip to Africa, I spoke with Amadou Sy. He's a senior fellow in the Africa Growth Initiative at the Brookings Institution here in Washington, and I started asking him if there's competition among global leaders to invest in Africa.
Yeah, there's definitely some competition, but I think the potential is so huge in Africa that there is really room for everybody, and competition is good from the perspective of the Africans. It gives them more choice. It supposedly will also give them better deals.
You talked earlier about the infrastructure deals. I mean, certainly this is a multi-year cycle. It could be multi-decades, in fact, in terms of building out that infrastructure, building roads, bridges, railways, electrical plants. And you look at China's involvement. Why has China been picked to a large extent by the countries in Africa as one of the big suppliers of this infrastructure bailout?
Okay, there are a few reasons. First of all, the demand for infrastructure projects in Africa is huge. The World Bank estimates that about $100 billion per year have to be invested in, it has to be spent in infrastructure in Africa. And the African countries don't have the enough resources, so they do need the foreign investment. Number two, investment in infrastructure is huge, but it's also risky. It takes a long time to do, and not many investors are coming in. And so it's a welcome initiative that that China is willing to do this. One comparative advantage that China has is its speed. It's able to very quickly build infrastructure. It can bring in the financing and the engineering as a package. Now, the flip coin, though, is for African countries to make sure that they have a good deal, that they're not pledging the revenues, let's say, from future generations, and they don't go into too much debt, that they are able to pay back their debt.
I also want to ask you about some of the concerns that a lot of countries have, including China as well. Of course, this past couple of weeks, we've been talking about the kidnapped girls in Nigeria. Stability in a country, how important is that, and how has the recent cases impacted those who are interested in investing in places in Africa?
Yeah, so there's definitely have been some progress in Africa when it comes to stability. You have more democracy, you have less coup. This said, there are these hotspots, and Nigeria in the northeast with Boko Haram is one example. But you also have South Sudan, where Chinese companies are in the oil sector, which has this huge potential, and which did not pan out because its leaders were not able to build basically solid institutions. So there is definitely room to improve institutions in many countries in Africa, But the trend is there. We've definitely the situation is different from 20 years ago, where you had a lot of civil strife and coups in Africa.
Tell me more about the cultural challenges. I mean, I can't imagine, you know, you have a group of business folks from China working there with the locals in Africa. I mean, there's certainly huge cultural gaps. How do they address that? And perhaps give me one success story and one story we can learn from.
Yes, so I think there's a potential here for a win-win situation. African businessmen, African policymakers are looking at the successes from China and this rapid growth that China has been able to achieve. On the other hand, you know, the situation is different from country to country. Some countries like Ethiopia and Rwanda have basically a situation where the government is much more involved into setting up the policy, the economic and industrial policy of these countries. And you have other countries like mine in Senegal, where the government so far has been leaving more to market forces. It's just recently that it's trying to have a strategy.
Amadou Sy, thank you.